First things first, it is a 1648 Landau Jon Boat. Overall, the boat is in really good condition. Only a few things that I need to have fixed up before I can really dig into it. It looks like they used a cutoff wheel or a circular saw or something like that to cut out the old deck, and they put these cuts in the braces. Aside from those two things, the only spot of repair that needs to be done is for some reason there's one rivet missing. For the repairs today, I'm gonna be using solid rivets. These work similarly to pop rivets, except instead of having a plunger that gets pulled out with a rivet tool, this actually gets flattened using an air hammer, which makes for a stronger and more solid waterproof seal. First thing I want to do is add some sealant to the rivet. I'm using 3M 5200. Tap it up. That looks clean. If it was painted, I don't think you could even tell the difference. From the top side here, there's a rivet that we replaced. So for now, I'm gonna let this sit for a couple minutes, and I'm gonna get under the trailer, under the boat, look for anything leaking and mark it with a Sharpie. That way, when I drain this and pull it back into the garage, I'll be able to know which ones to fix. All right, so we're under the trailer now, and it's pretty easy to see which ones will need to be fixed. Something pretty cool, that's the one I put in, and these are the ones I fixed already, and there's no leaks from those. Unfortunately, almost every rivet is leaking. At this point, we have all of the rivets rebucked and replaced. A couple of things I want to test is make sure all of our leak fixes actually fixed up the leaks. Squirrely. Overall, I'm really happy with our first water test. We're not getting any water in from the rivets. With the leak testing and major repairs completed on the boat, it's time to move on to the next stage of the restoration. I was so impressed with how coat it worked in the last build, I've decided that I'm actually going to use that as the bottom coating on the new Jon Boat. So if you guys don't know what coat it is, it's a two-part epoxy. It's used for boat bottoms, decks, things like that. The cool feature, I guess, that sets this apart is that it actually has Kevlar built into it, so it's supposed to be really good at abrasion resistance. Probably should have mixed up a little bit less, just so I would have had more room in the container. A couple ways you'll know it's starting to activate is temperature. It will physically warm up, and the viscosity, it will start thickening up. All right, well, that's a good first half of the boat coat. I'm gonna go ahead and mix up the second half and get this done. Got about 2 buckets down. I'm working on the last bucket now. I'm gonna go ahead and do what I've been doing, is just pouring it out over the rivets and backfilling. Well, it's been about 16 hours or so. I'm out here checking on it for the first time. It's definitely cured already. The main thing I'm happy to see is there is a good coating on the entire bottom of the boat. There's no super bare spots. It's gonna be watertight, so I'm really happy to see that. So first thing I'm gonna do is get this garage opened and start prepping the boat for primer. All right, with the boat fully sanded down, now we gotta get this cleaned up. First thing I'm gonna do is spray some degreaser down on top of the coated. That'll get rid of that oily residue that can develop if you apply it in humid weather. Then I'm just gonna do a full rinse of the boat. That should get all of the sanded material off. I'm starting to wipe down the bottom of the surface. You're gonna use rubbing alcohol on the exterior of the boat and then acetone to wipe down the epoxy. I wanted to try using an airless spray gun. Before we lay down the colors, I'm going to be putting down a coating of the Rust-Oleum metal primer. Oh yeah, that's doing a great job. All right, so I got the paint ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and use a foam roller. This is a smooth cabinet roller. Now this is the Rust-Oleum topside, the Battleship Gray color. I have not found rolling and tipping to work well with this paint. It lays down so well on its own that I find just getting an even layer down with the roller is more important than coming back with the light brush tip. So I'm gonna go through, get this coat on, let it dry, come back for a second coat, and the bottom should be good. So we're back out here the next day. I'm really digging the color. I think it's gonna match really well with the rest of the boat. All right, well, now that it's finished drying, I'm gonna go ahead and get the second coat put on. We are finally in the home stretch of this exterior painting project. We have the bottom coating on the boat complete. It's probably been a week since I got this put on. Just like the bottom paint, I'm gonna be going with the Rust-Oleum topside. We're gonna be using gloss black for the exterior. I'm gonna go ahead and pop the lid off and get started. Well, here it is, guys. First coat of the black on the gray, and oh man, does it look good. The coat went on nice and smooth. There's definitely some patchy parts, but that's just the first layer, so that's pretty normal. I'm gonna come back with at least another 2 coats. You can see how smooth it's laying down. Actually able to make a really clean edge with the roller, but I think when I put my second coat on, I'm just gonna wrap it up to the tape line. That way it's just a hard edge down the side. I mean, come on, just wow. Look at that. I'm so glad I brought the paint up to the tape line too. I will call this an absolute success. Absolute win. Today's video is all about float pods. I'm gonna be going over what they are, how they work, and if you need them. Now, I don't know if you guys are thinking it, but I certainly am. If I planned a little bit better and I had these pods a couple weeks earlier, I probably would have got them welded before painting the transom. But that's okay. They're just gonna grind around where it actually gets welded on, and then I can blend the paint right onto the pods. What's up, guys? For today's video, I'm working on the aluminum subfloor for the Jon Boat Build. First piece is in. Now I need to cut some risers that are going to rivet into the brace and into the rib to give it vertical support. Perfect. All right. 2 days, about 5 hours, and 2 rivet guns later, I finally have the basics of the subfloor complete. So before we get started on setting up the foam for the flooring, I wanted to install a center cross brace just to give this a little bit more weight distribution when you're standing on it. There is a horizontal brace going back and forth. There's the vertical brace going down the boat. So it's being supported here, here, the middle, and then the ends. This is now a very solid subfloor that I am more than confident to start setting up the foam and adding the floor to. I'm going to use this foam board to make myself a little template, use the template to notch out the ribs for the aluminum, get the aluminum in the boat for the front half, and then cut the rest of it while it's in the boat for the back half. I'm really happy to see that all of my cuts lined up perfectly with the ribs. As you can see, the floor is super solid from front to back. It's looking really good. The main thing I want to tackle today is getting this front bench installed. This is absolutely rock solid. So what I ended up doing was I notched out the front of this angle here. That way it rests right on top of the horizontal frame. Then I ran a vertical support coming up under it and riveting it through to join it at the top. So now this whole thing is just like, I mean, it's literally rock solid. This right here on sale, 12 bucks at Lowe's, is gonna be the absolute perfect drop-in solution for what I'm looking for. The only thing I need to cut down is about that 4 inches in height or so it's flush with the top of the frame. All right, well, that came out pretty good. This thing is fitting absolutely perfect where I wanted it to. All right, so the first thing I want to work on is getting this front bench paneled. I need to do a face panel and then a top panel. Trapezoid thing, we're coming across, and then it's going to get slanted down on each side, and then a bottom. Okay, so that looks good. Let's go ahead and do the one over here. Okay, that looks good. All right, well, there we go. I think that came out pretty darn good. All right, let's go ahead and fit this in the boat and see how it looks. Oh, that is absolutely perfect. Look at that. Oh, I'm so happy with that. All right, so this is how the template's looking now. I was able to trim out for the rib. I need a little bit more trimming towards the backside there to get that little gap closed in. But then this will pretty much account for the curvature of the boat, and I can apply this curve to the piece of wood I'm about to cut, and then hopefully this should just slot right in place. Slide it from the top to the ribs. That's perfect. All right, so at this point I have the top and front paneling for the bench seat cut. I am super happy with how this came out. I found this on Amazon. This was surprisingly cheap for the quality of it. It is very, very strong plastic. It's supposed to be highly UV resistant. This is gonna double as a seat, double as a step, and it's gonna double as storage access. So my plan for today is to be able to see how we get this cut and installed. The way this is going to get cut is I'm going to be cutting out each corner with a hole saw, and then I'm going to be using the jigsaw to do the sidelines. All right, so I need to find a hole saw that is the appropriate size to match the angles. Okay, so that's my hole saw. It's a 2 1/8 hole saw. This is my brand new cheapo Amazon hole saw kit. Now the drill bit fell out. So you can see it here, put in place here. Beautiful. All right, well, this is skipping quite a bit ahead in the Jon Boat build, but I wanted to show you guys how this looked when it was all finished up. Now we can go ahead and drop this hatch lid in place. So as you can see, the hatch lid fits really nice. It opens up and now you have full access to the storage container inside. You don't see any of the edges because I have this centered right on that storage lid. All of the carpet and cuts are hidden under the trim of the hatch lid here, so that makes this look really clean and finished. It also has this rubber trim around the lip of the hatch bottom here. That way when this is closed, it resists water getting into your storage area. The main things I want to accomplish today are to figure out the side paneling for the walls. This is the overhang that's going to go on top of the front bench. All right, for the most part, we're completely to the floor. So now I gotta trim this angle right here. Yeah, I mean, that looks really good. Oh, it fits even better over here. What I'm continuing to work on today is a raised platform, so the seats folded down, it's all gonna look super clean together. Let's go ahead and fit this and see how it looks. Okay, well, I am really happy with how this is looking. Oh yeah, look at that, that's awesome. Get it a little bit, there it is, perfect. All right, well, it's been a lot of work getting to this point, and it might look like a bit of a mess now, but I am finally ready to start doing some epoxy. Now in the past, I've used fiberglass resin to do this, and it does work really well, but if you've ever used fiberglass resin, you know that it puts out a lot of fumes. The last time I used it in the garage, this garage smelled like fiberglass resin for like 2 weeks straight. It also starts to waft into the house from the garage door, so I was really excited to try and do something a little bit different. I already know that epoxy works well for sealing wood, so I thought that this epoxy is also gonna work really well. All right, so another board done. I got one more cup to mix up. We'll get that face completed, and then that'll be all the one side. Let this cure probably overnight, and then tomorrow we'll do the next side. It's done. All right, guys, we're back out here the next day. I'm about to check on the epoxy on the wood and see how it cured overnight. At first glance, it looks a lot better. Doesn't look as sticky. Let's see. Okay, yeah, this is definitely good. It still has a little bit of a tack to it, but you know, I can definitely handle it without getting it on my hands. I ended up really liking this epoxy. In the beginning, I was a little iffy when I saw how thick it was pouring out of the jar. After I warmed it up in a hot water bath, it poured beautifully, it applied beautifully, it was really, really good. So after letting the epoxy cure for a couple days and getting everything cleaned up, it's time to check on our wood and see how it's looking. Honestly, this turned out so much better than I expected. I haven't used like a clear epoxy like this before. The coverage is just amazing. Now we can get started on carpeting everything and assembling this jigsaw puzzle. Guys, for today's video, I'm figuring out how to install carpet to an aluminum floor. I got the main area all cleaned up. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get this piece of carpet cut to size before I do any of the glue to make sure everything fits correctly. The carpet I'm using is outdoor carpet from Menards. It's called Auto Marine. I used it in the last boat, held up really well. I liked it. You can see how the carpet just starts to lay down and just coming right up to the edge, cutting right next to the rib on each side. Okay, so the glue I'm using is just some indoor-outdoor carpet adhesive. I've used something similar in the last boat. This one's from Menards, the last one was from Lowe's. I'm sure they're just the same. I'll give it a try and see how it goes. It's looking really good. I got all the glue where I need it to be. Now I'm gonna go ahead and roll out the carpet. Once it's on top of the glue, I'm gonna come back with a roller of some kind and really roll it down into the glue. Once I get them in these first couple supports here and the ribs, it should all just kind of fall into place. Keep rolling it out. All right, guys, well, it's the next day and just, wow, how nice does that look? What's up, guys? I'm sitting here on my freshly carpeted floor, ready to get started on the next part of the Jon Boat build. Before I start applying the carpet to all the wood, I just wanted to test fit everything, make sure it all still looks good. It definitely hides all the areas of the carpet I wanted it to. Once these panels are all carpeted, this is gonna look really, really killer in here. Okay, so I have the wood set up right here to get ready on the carpet. The only thing I'm gonna do real quick is just hit it with the sander, just a light scuffing on the whole thing. The staples I'll be using are these stainless steel staples. You definitely wanna make sure you get stainless so they don't rust out on you. All right, well, at this point, everything fits together just as it should. I want to start getting everything mounted to the boat. What I'm going to do is start with the front bench here because everything kind of fits in on top of that, and we'll go from there. All right, so I was able to secure this with the 3 mounting holes that we had set up. Next, we need to work on the side panels. All right, guys, well, there it is. All of the carpeted panels have been installed. Honestly, I am really happy with how everything came out. Recently, I've been converting this tiller steer Jon Boat into a side console setup. If you want to catch up on any of these videos, links will be in the description, along with a playlist for the entire conversion so far. Today's video, my focus is on mounting the side console and control box. Okay, after getting the cables routed to the bottom of the side console, it's time to get this mounted to the boat. There's 2 mounting holes built into the console. You can see them right there. You got 1 and 2. I'm going to use those as guides to basically just drill out from the boat and then bolt into the inside of the console. Now let's see how this looks with our bolt. Yeah, in hindsight, I would have much rather have done that over here, but I was following the instructions and that was my first mistake. All right, so there it is. It is now attached to the side of the boat. The side console is now completely flush to the seat, already rock solid just from bolting it onto the side of the boat. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get the bottom support put in and the side console will be installed. Just screw it in here. Okay, so now with this attached to the bottom of the leg, I'm going to go ahead and use my square on the outside, drill some holes, and either screw or rivet this down. Okay, that's pretty perfect. Now the last step, it comes with these plastic rivets. I'm going to put 2 rivets right where the leg and the top of the console connect. All right, so with those 2 last screws in, this thing is rock solid. As you can see, no budging. For today's video, I'm going to be focusing on the back deck. If you'd like to catch up on anything we've done before, I'll have a playlist in the description so you guys can check it out. The idea I'm going for is going to be a back deck that extends from the front of the bench seat all the way to the back of the transom. For the decking material itself, I have some 1/2-inch plywood here. I wanted to go with something a little bit thicker for the back platform, just to make sure it's nice and sturdy while you're walking around. All right, so to start, I think I'm just gonna rip this piece of wood down to 39 by 64, see how it sits in here and what we may need to modify. At that point, we can go ahead and continue on the different parts. here it is. It is fitting absolutely perfect. There's no rubbing on the corners now. It's flush right with the front of the bench seat here. This is exactly how I wanted it to look. I'm super happy with it. Plenty of room to open and close. I got a little bit of room to account for the carpet. Now, I've got the epoxy heating up in the house. I've got the garage heating up right now. I'll be able to get to epoxy in the next couple minutes. All right, well, we're back out here about 2 days later, checking on everything after it's cured. And I gotta say, yet again, this tabletop epoxy has worked really, really well for getting this all sealed up. This is going to be the visible face of the hatch lid. I made sure to come back while it was curing and hit it with the blowtorch a couple times to get any bubbles out of it. And wow, that came out really, really nice. I'm really happy with that. So the next step now is to get these pieces of wood carpeted. Okay, after drying overnight, the glue has set and everything is looking really good. I am super happy with how that hatch lid came out. The carpeting is so clean looking. It's gonna look really good when you're lifting up the hatch and you see that nice glossy finish. I'm really happy with that. Wow, that is looking absolutely perfect. I am very, very happy with how this looks. Now let's go see if the lid fits. I'm gonna leave that wedge like that just to get a visual on how this all looks. But yeah, that is looking so, so nice. Oh, plenty of room. Plenty of room. Oh, we're good. We are good. All right, so there's the two mounts. Now I can go ahead and attach these to the transom and give me something to bolt onto. There is level. Oh yeah, that's nice and strong too. So something I didn't think about when I was making these braces is that these are actually also providing transom support. All right, so the hinges I got are these double offset piano hinges. All right, so with our hinge in place, now we got to get this attached to the deck. This back deck is looking absolutely beautiful. I am so incredibly happy with how this came out. Now we have good support for the side panels here and the actual deck. This all closes just the way it should. There's room in here for both the batteries and the gas tank now. Man, I cannot believe how well this is working. Today, 2 rolls of HydroTurf will be here, and I am super excited to get this on the boat. I'm going a little different with the color scheme I had originally planned. I've purchased a couple rolls of foam. I'll throw some pictures up here now. The colors were pretty cool, but unfortunately the quality was just horrible, and I didn't want to put that on the boat and then have to pull it back up. First thing I need to do is prep this surface and patch that hole. With everything fully prepped, I'm gonna get ready to install the HydroTurf. This material is so much nicer than that cheap Amazon stuff I was getting. For one, the material actually rebounds when you press into it. The other stuff was just denting straight down. I was not happy with that. This is very soft, it's very flexible. There we go. Okay. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, now I can start working the rest of it down. Okay, so now. And then here's the rear of the boat. Those are the transom caps, the float pods. It all ties in really well with one another. I was actually very apprehensive about the color change since it's such a different color than the carpet, but I've really grown to like it. One mistake I made when setting up this boat was I have my seats mounted just a little bit too low for my liking. I've been sitting on the flotation seat over here, which has put me at a really good height. So what I wanted to do was rework my back bench area here, raise it up about 4 to 5 inches, and add storage under the seats. So to start, okay, so I have the basic framing complete for the one side of the hatch. Now I'm trimming down the seat base. I'm gonna cut each side and then peel it back enough so I can rewrap it, saving this piece. All right, well, honestly, not bad. I scored the carpet on the one side, peeled it back, cut the wood, and then rewrap the carpet. See how we line up here. That is looking dead on. That is perfect. The front cover piece cut and carpeted, the driver's side mount cut and carpeted. First, I want to get this hinge mechanism working because I might need to manipulate this board in a certain way, including this front support. So I want that all in place. That way I can line up the driver's seat so everything looks nice and flush together. All right, making more progress. I got the hinge attached. It opens and closes pretty smoothly. All right, well, this is pretty cool. Lift it up. Boom, look at that. Total in-bench storage now. I'm gonna get some front bracing on, back bracing on, and get this last piece on. Then it's just the cover piece. Just one little bonus addition before I put this all together. I wired up another light in my light series. Now, when you turn the lights on, I got a light under there that should illuminate under the deck. I really wanted it closer to this side since this won't have a lid that opens, but this will give plenty of light to both sides of the storage hatch now. So that was pretty cool. Okay guys, well, the new seat platform and storage section is complete. First things first, the passenger seat and center seat fold down. And then the whole top comes up to allow a huge section of under-seat storage. So there you have it guys, that is the new raised platform with under-seat storage. I am so happy with how this came out. It is gonna free up a ton of space in the front of the boat. As you can see in my front storage area here, it's pretty much just filled with life jackets and ropes. Now I'll be able to move a lot of that to the back of the boat. I'll be able to add some towels and stuff like that. Just basically take care of any of the large bulk items that we're not gonna be accessing often. But if we need to, the new hinge mechanism to get inside, gonna work really well. All right, guys, we're getting all set up for our first trip out on the boat. I've got a couple more things to do with the trailer, and then we're gonna get out on the water and try it out for the very first time. I just wanna make sure we float, there's no leaks. I just need to verify all the work I've been doing for the past year is how it should be. Wish me luck, we'll see how it goes. I'll catch you out on the water.
So, sure you don't want gloves? I brought you some.
Okay, guys, we're back in the garage. What a day. Oh, I cannot tell you how awesome this boat worked today. First impressions are everything worked great, honestly. Everything I anticipated worked the way it should. All the parts functioned, the motor, beautiful. I think I even have room to raise it down a little bit. That jack plate is working so well on the long shaft motor. Honestly, everything, I'm like in disbelief. I'm a little overwhelmed, a little exhausted, but I'll give you guys a really good summary and story once I get myself settled down some. All right, guys, well, the first trip was a massive success. I came home a little exhausted and really sunburnt, so I didn't end up recording any after trip videos, but I'm heading back out today to continue all the testing. The first time out, everything honestly worked beautifully. I didn't have any glaring issues that needed to be fixed. There's a couple things that I'm monitoring to see if there's any changes that need to be made, but in general, I'm really happy with how everything performed. Yeah, look at that. Spot lock. And now we fish. Just a little bit more about these float pods. This is me on the very back of the boat. We've got both the batteries, full gas tank, the engine, and myself, who's a good amount of weight. Pretty much all the weight is on the back of the boat, and look how high we're floating still. I can walk all the way to the back edge here. We are nowhere near the water line. Absolutely perfect.